Are you ready to get a little dark and twisty with me today? Because we're going to be talking about captor-captive romances. So obviously, if it's a captor-captive romance, it's going to be a little dark, it's going to be a little messed up. So definitely, if you have any triggers, make sure that you research any of these books before going into any of them, because they go there and they're not afraid to. But personally, I love that. And I seriously love each and every one of these books that I have on this list today. So I'm very excited to go through them. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I had, I think, like a list of like 13, but I was like, once again, that's too many to put in one video. So I'm like, I can split it up into a part 2 eventually if you guys want another whole video over captor-captive romance recommendations. So anyways, without further ado, I don't need to drown on anymore. Let's just go ahead and jump right in. And let's go ahead and jump right in into one of the first books that I read this year. And truly, this book has stuck with me. It has just stuck with me. And that is Take Me With You by Nina G. Jones. So this one I finally read because Nikki from Nikki and Bookland, she has been telling me to read this book for like years. Since I've known her, she has been telling me that I need to read this book. And I just kept on putting it off. And all of a sudden I was like, I feel like reading something really dark and messed up. And oh my God, is it dark and messed up. This is one of the darkest books I've ever read. So this one follows Vesper and Sam. So Vesper she's like a nurse. She's in her early 20s, I think. She has the stable job. She has a boyfriend, like a good boyfriend for her. And she takes care of her younger brother who has some special needs because her mother and his mom just like are always out. She's on vacation. She's like doesn't really care about him that much. So she's kind of taken over that parental role. And even though she has like a pretty stable life, every once in a while she just gets the feeling that she's like, you know what, I wish someone would like come and take me away from my life. Like she just feels like there's something missing. And when she starts to feel this pair of eyes watching her, she starts to kind of like fantasize about these eyes a little bit and like dream of like this person like coming and taking her away. Well, little does she know that those eyes are not in her imagination. That is Sam, and he is a serial criminal, I guess I will say, because he doesn't like murder people, but he watches people. He breaks into their homes, he terrorizes them for a night, and then he leaves. So he's a very, very messed up, dark character. He's not one that you root for, but for some reason over the course of this book, I was like rooting for these two to make it at the end of it, which is so wild. But anyways, he starts watching Vesper and he wants her, and one night he breaks into her house and things kind of end up going not according to his usual pattern or plan. And in order to save the people that are there with her, Vesper says like, hey, just take me with you. Like, I'll leave with you right now if we can just like get out of here. And he agrees and he takes her and she becomes his captive. And he truly, like, the psychology in this book of like how he truly wants to break her down to like, until she just wants the basest needs of like water and food. Like that's it. And the way that he breaks her and then tries to like build her back up to be what he wants, and how she like somewhat forms that, but also like doesn't fully follow that pattern that he wants or like become that person that he wants. It's wild. Sam is, and like I said, he is an incredibly dark hero. Incredibly dark. He's not a hero in any way, shape, or form. He does bad things, but then you see back in his childhood how he was created to be this way. So I'm not trying to defend him. I'm just saying, like, you have to trust the process with this book and with this character and with this couple. Truly, I don't know how I was rooting for them, but I was. It's just, like, I already want to reread it again and just go on this wild journey that she takes us on with these two. It's so messed up, though. Like, I can't emphasize that enough. So this is definitely the darkest book on this list, but oh my God, I loved it. Okay, next up on this list is my first mafia one that I have on here, and that is Passion and Venom by Shanora Williams. So this is the first book in, I don't know if it's a duet or a trilogy. I've only read the first one so far. I do plan on continuing at some point, and this one follows Gianna and Draco. So when they are both younger, Gianna's father and Draco's father, they're both like business associates, and just like an off-the-cuff kind of remark from Gianna's dad to Draco's dad is like, I'm gonna marry my daughter to your son one day. But then some things happen to their families and jump ahead years later. It's Gianna's wedding day, but she is not getting married to Draco, and she doesn't really have any kind of like involvement in the business anymore. But as she's driving home away from her wedding, their car is run off the road and her husband is killed, and she is taken captive and taken away to this like little shed on this compound, and she is kept there, and she has literally no clue why she would be taken here. She's kept there for a few days. She interacts with some of the people there, and she's still kind of like, I don't know why I'm here. And then the boss shows up one day, and as soon as he looks at her, he recognizes her as the little kid that he saw when he was younger and realizes that that is Gianna. And immediately he's like, no, she's not staying in here anymore. Like, she's mine, and takes her. She's still very much his captive, but then she gets to go and like live in his mansion with him. But that does not mean that she is living the lap of luxury there. Draco definitely is still intent on getting revenge and keeping her as a captive. And Gianna is very obviously against her captivity, but she can't help but obviously be pretty intrigued and kind of seduced by Draco. But obviously he still has some very twisted methods of kind of forming a relationship with her and making sure that he's always reminding her of like who's in charge, and it's not her. So yeah, this one is definitely a lot of fun. It's still very, very dark, and especially there's a scene at the end with Gianna, not involving Draco, but with one of his men, that is very dark, very messed up. So definitely, once again, make sure that you're checking triggers. But I would say like their relationship overall is not to the same like deep, dark, black, like pitch black place that Take Me With You's is, but it's still like pretty messed up because obviously it's still captive. So anyways, it's really good though. I do really love this one. One of my favorites by Shanora Williams. Okay, next up is another Mafia one and another recent favorite of mine, and that is Stolen Heir by Sophie Lark. So this is the second book in the Brutal Birthright series. Personally, y'all know how I am. I always have to read things in order. You could just jump to this one if you wanted to. Like, you don't need to read Brutal Prince, the first one, in order to jump to this one. But y'all know me. I just love following the rules and reading things in order. So this one follows Nessa and Mikolai. So Nessa is the daughter of an Irish mafia family in Chicago, and she's their like innocent one, you know. She's very much kept away from family business, unlike some of her other siblings that are much more involved. She's a ballerina. She just wants to dance. She just kind of wants to like live a life away from the mafia, but like honestly she doesn't even really know that she wants to live a life away from them, because she just doesn't really know what it's like being in the nitty-gritty of the mafia life. Her family has really protected her. Well, that is until who kills the boss? Someone in her I think it's her brother, right? Does he kill the like Mikolai's boss? So then as revenge, obviously he ends up kidnapping Nessa, their like little mafia princess, and taking her captive. And it's very much like Beauty and the Beast-esque. Like, he's often described as being like a beast. He has like tattoos from like neck down everywhere. He's very cold, very icy. He has like this big mansion where like she's not supposed to go in certain wings. Like, it does actually feel genuinely like Beauty and the Beast vibes. You know, like a lot of these books claim like Beauty and the Beast, and they're not. This one does still give like very much that energy. Obviously, as much as Nikolai wants to focus on just being like the head of this new mafia family, or not like new mafia family, but him being like the new head of it and like be the strong leader, he also starts to fall in love with Nessa. And here's the thing again with him, is that you get his backstory. You see why he is the way that he is, why he does the things that he does. And it made me endeared to him. And he honestly, like, yeah, like, obviously, yes, Nessa is his captive, but for the most part, I'd say like their relationship is not, it never really goes that dark like some of the other ones does. Like, he's always still like pretty good with her, you know? And I just really loved how they truly did like just genuinely fall in love with each other, and how it made sense throughout the story that they did. Also, I just realized this, I completely forgot to say with Take Me With You, very heavy into Stockholm Syndrome. So like the other one's not so much, but this one like is very, very heavy in like that. So again, it's the most fucked up one. Okay, next up, another one of my favorites, Sea of Ruin by Pam Godwin. So this is a pirate romance. So this one follows Bennett, and it's in like the 1700s, and her mother is like a society woman, and she wants Bennett to be a society woman, but Bennett wants no part of that. She wants to go be a pirate like her father. But when she's like 14 or 15 or something, her mother arranges a marriage for her with this old crusty dude, and immediately as Bennett meets him, she's like, yeah, no, I'm not doing this, and she runs away to become a pirate, and she ends up living like a life on the run kind of. And then we get a bit of a time jump when she's like now in her early 20s, and she has this compass from her father that she's trying to like see what is at the end of it, like what did he leave her kind of. And when she's on her journey, she ends up having a little bit of a foil with two men. The first is Priest, and I don't really want to say who he is in relation to her. You learn that. I don't really want to spoil anything, but he's a fellow pirate. And then the second man is Lord Ashley Cutler, and he is a pirate hunter, and he ends up taking Bennett captive. And so it's love triangle-y. So obviously like Priest is an important part, but also is Ashley. So definitely with him, there's where you get the captive vibes. And again, their relationship does go pretty dark, but Bennett is one strong woman, and oh, does she fight tooth and nail every single second of the way. I love her. She's one of my favorite heroines I've read recently. Like, she's just a lot of fun. And I love like the pirating adventure of the two of them, and also both relationships with her two dudes. They're both very well developed. So I really liked that, because I feel like a lot of times in books when she's like kind of going back and forth, there isn't like that time, but I felt like Pam Godwin did a really good job of developing that relationship with Ashley and also developing that relationship with Priest. And you'll just have to read it to find out how that all shakes out at the end. But yeah, the longer that Bennett is under Ashley's captivity, the more he realizes like, am I actually doing like the right thing here? Like, does Bennett deserve to go to the gallows and die? Or do I want her for myself? I think you want her for yourself, Lord Ashley. Next up is one of my favorite books on this list. Just one of my favorite books in general. I love this book. I've loved this book ever since I read it, and that is Twisted Pride by Cora Riley. It's the third book in the Camorra Chronicles. So again, I'm a stickler for reading orders. You don't have to, but I personally liked reading the entire Born in Blood series and then the Camorra Chronicles in order. You don't have to. I do have a full Cora Riley reading guide video and also like a little graphic on my Instagram. I keep it in my highlight reels, so if you want to reference that. But you could hypothetically just jump into Twisted Pride if you want to. You would just miss a little bit of like the family backstory and like the grudges that these families have. So this one is between a mafia princess of Chicago and the mafia boss of Las Vegas. So Remo, he's the boss out in Las Vegas, and he is known for being very like psychotic, very ruthless, very like crazy, and he is trying to enact some revenge over some things that happened in previous books, but you do get like a preview of that. But he's trying to get some revenge on Chicago, and he's like, how can I do that best? Oh, the mafia boss in Chicago is marrying his niece off to another one of his men. Let me go and kidnap his niece. And he literally kidnaps her on her wedding day, and he takes her to Las Vegas. And here's the thing about this one is that truly, like with a lot of the other books, like Bennett and Ashley truly are like equals in like wit and things. A lot of the other ones, like maybe not so much. These two, Serafina is not afraid to stand up to Remo. Like, yes, he's nuts, but she is like, I don't care. She will spar with him tooth and nail. And it's so fun to read their dynamic, because she is not just going to lie down and be a damsel. Like, yes, she's like been born and raised to be this mafia princess, but she's ready to go toe to toe with the best of them when she needs to. And it's so fun to read their dynamic. Obviously, there's some other stuff in here that pops in, but I don't want to like give anything away. But I love some of the twists and turns that this book took. And truly, just Remo is one of my favorite mafia dudes ever. And they're my favorite, they're my favorite couple in all of Cora Riley's mafia universe. Like, it's just their perfection. Okay, next up is The Never King by Nikki St. Crow. So this one is like a little bit fantastical-ish, but like if you don't read fantasy, like I promise this isn't gonna be like a ton of world building or anything where you're really confused. It's like very, very mild fantasy, but this one is kind of like a take on Peter Pan and the Lost Boys. So this one follows Winnie, and there is something with the Darling women that every single generation, when the next Darling woman turns 18, Peter Pan comes, takes her away somewhere. Things happen, they aren't really privy to it, and when the women come back, they are never the same as they were when they were taken. So Winnie is turning 18, and her mother has done everything in her power to keep Peter from coming and taking her away. But no matter what she tries, Winnie turns 18 and Peter ends up showing up and stealing her away to Neverland. And when Winnie gets there, she meets some different folks there. She meets some Lost Boys, and it ends up being a bit of a Y2 situation with 4 of the dudes there. But by this first book, it is the first in a series. So what? I think are there going to be 4 books? I know 3 of them are out. I don't know if there's a 4th one or not. I haven't read the 3rd. I've read the first 2. And she definitely like gets deeper into all of their relationships. And you also learn like why Peter comes and steals the Darling women every single generation and what he's trying to get out of them when he takes them. So anyways, it's their romance. And once again, Winnie gets over there and at first, she's kind of like, screw all of you guys. Like, she kind of fights him a little bit. But then at a certain point, she's kind of like, you know what? If I'm going to be here, you guys are hot. I'm hot. Let's make things happen. And you know what? Respect, Winnie. I appreciated it because it was fun. It was fun. So like she fought them just enough, but at the same time she like gave in easily enough where I was like, you know what? I'm just here for this fun kind of journey, and that's what you get with these. And very quick read too. It's like under is it under 200 pages, or it's like just about 200 pages? Like they're really quick books. And lastly on this list is Pageant by Lilith Vincent. So this one follows Lilia. So she is a model now, but she was a part of the mafia. She was married to a very big mafia. Well, like it was mafia, but like it's I don't know, it's like lighter on the mafia, I'd say. It's not like as in depth as some of the other ones go. And when she's somewhere, I think maybe Paris, modeling for like a fashion week, she ends up running into some old associates of her father's who she has tried to like very much distance herself and kind of be on the run from her past, which like you learn why over the course of the book. But she ends up running into this couple who used to know her father, and they invite her over for like tea, and she kind of doesn't know how to get out of it, so she ends up going. And while she's at this couple's house, this man ends up coming in, killing them and stealing her away. And when she wakes up in a cage in this like random basement with 15 other women, and they are going to compete in a pageant in order to be the newest wife of one of the 3 guys that has taken them all. So when she wakes up and she sees who all of these 3 men are, she realizes that she knows one of them, and one of them is immediately ready to kill her, but instead he's like, fine, let her compete. And the longer that things go on, the more tensions rise and end up rising between the 3 of them, because it is going to be a little reverse harem moment between her and the 3 dudes. So yeah, it is a duet. I haven't read the second book yet, but it kind of is all around like this twisted pageant. Yeah, these women are obviously all fighting for this coveted position, and they're all trying to at least become the last one standing to be the wife, because one of them will, and the rest of them will all be kind of like sold into the mafia and like 2 other people, which obviously no one wants to do. And Lilia is kind of the only one that kind of stands up and challenges this, because she does kind of have that bit of the position with knowing one of them. But yeah, it unfolds how she knows them and all that good stuff. So anyways, yeah, that's this book, and that is my recommendations for this video. So yeah, like I said, I definitely have more, but I just didn't want to like, I don't like overwhelming people in recommendation videos by doing like 10, 15 recs, because to me, like, I get overwhelmed when watching them. So I gave you a 7 today. If you want more, let me know. I don't even know when this one's going up, because I've been like pre-filming some videos. So I don't even know when this one's going up. I don't know what one's coming next, but it'll just be a fun surprise for you whenever you see the next one from me. So anyways, that's it for today's video, and I will see you when I see ya.